Hi guys, Belle here, and it is day 10 of hashtag Creep on June 24. And in the digital kit, today's base is this coin folder. So, or coin envelope, pocket. Now, I've made a couple of flippy flappies. I've made a pocket, I've made a tag. And I haven't turned one of these into it yet. So I thought let's make, it's only going to have 2 flips. So a bit simpler. Let's make one of those. First thing I'm going to do, I've obviously cut this out. I'm going to score it on all its sides. Because that's just going to make it easier for me to fold. Yeah, that's going to make it easier. This way. You don't need to use a scoreboard. I've had this for a while. I think I said in possibly yesterday's video, I don't really like using it because it's not got the right measurements on for me. I didn't look at it carefully enough when I bought it, but it's sitting here in my craft room. So I want to, or in my craft area, I should say, I want to just use it because I've got it. But I can show you another way that you can do this if you don't have a scoreboard. One, you can just fold it normally, or you can take a ruler, go down the side and really score into it. It's normally better to do it on a mat than something flat like a table. And I'm just going to bend these up. Yeah, I'm really loving just making lots of different kind of bits with pockets and flaps and interactive elements. And so this time we're going to do that on a coin envelope. And it just goes to show you, you can just about add interactive elements to any piece of ephemera. Or you can if you may. Or you're at least going to attempt to. So this is the back, this is the front, that is the top. Got to keep that in mind a lot of the time. So what am I going to do first? That's going to go under like that so I don't see it as much. I might leave that one out. Okay, so I have this image. I love this. It is super kind of creepy. Is that a shadow? Is it a little girl? If it is a little girl, who's left her there? I mean, that building has so many violations of like the health code and that. It's not safe. Pick up your child. But I'm trying to think of it as it's some sort of spooky, shadowy ghost. So that's what I'm going for. So I've cut the top of the tag off. This is going to go onto here, and I don't want it reaching all the way to the bottom, which it doesn't, which is perfect. And then I'm going to attach this onto some tea-stained paper. Now, I want this to be the flip. So I'm actually going to, because there's not enough space, I can't get 2 folds of the same length here. I'm going to have to use it this way. And if I am, I'm going to turn that over because that's even grungier and lovely. That'll be on the inside. And I'm going to glue it to this edge. Again, I'm probably going to stitch around mine. It's a theme, guys. I know not everyone has access to a sewing machine. Not everyone likes using sewing machines. I understand. But for me, I love adding stitching. If you're not going to stitch, just glue really well to the edges and stick that down really well. Especially if I'm making, well, now I add stitching to all my work, but if I'm making something Gothic or Halloween or something like that, I want it to be stitched, normally with black thread, because I love, just love leaving all the different strands and the grunginess of it. So that's going down like that, and I am going to fold this over onto that bit. Yeah, that's about it. I just find this makes it a bit easier sometimes when I'm doing this. And then I'm going to fold it this way. So that's the top. Now, whilst this is folded, that's when I'm going to cut it. My paper trimmer. Like so. And while we're at it, let's add, I've also got this beautiful image. Love it. I kind of feel like one of these is the house that this little spooky ghost child is in. So I want to add it so that we see the light and the top of the house, but we don't see the child underneath until we move it. Love it. So that is too big. So let's just trim part of that. Could realistically tear it, but I'm just going to trim it. And then we are also going to add tea stain paper to the back of this. Because what is the point of having flaps if you don't add pockets and writing space? I mean, I could actually add a pocket to the back of this, but I'm going to add a pocket to the back of the coin envelope, so I don't want to add it to this, but you can do that. And now I'm going to take some of this lovely grungy, and I'm going to stick this onto the back of here. And then we're going to do similar to I have done on other pieces in this with the flips and flaps. I am going to crinkle it up, get some edges going, all that kind of thing, because who wants it to look beautiful? Well, I want it to look beautiful, but I mean, I don't want it looking perfect. Like so. Yeah, really pressing that down, especially those edges. Those are the crinkly edges from the tea dyeing, which work perfectly on pieces like this because, you know, okay, just to add more texture, I'm just going to trim this like so. Okay, and the bottom could actually rip along the bottom. Thinking about that in my head as I'm cutting, how that would look. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got this. Now you can see I've got an extra bit here that needs to be folded. I've got this little extra bit. I'm just going to tuck that up inside. Why waste extra writing space? Like, why do that? Obviously, you could cut that. I'm not going to. What I am going to do is round these corners. Here, here, and here. Look at that. Lovely. And in fact, I'm actually going to tear this. I was going to round the corners here as well, but I'm actually going to tear it. Brilliant. So I want to stitch all the way around this. And then we also have to, come on, let's crinkle it. Just be brave. Just squish it together and add some little creases. I know. We take these beautiful images and then we're like, oh, yeah, we'll just crinkle it and crush it and grunge it up. But that's what they're there for. We don't have to be perfect. Also, I want to do this edge, and I realised I've forgotten. Thankfully, that's not glued properly because I was going to stitch it. I need to add a magnet in here. Now, again, like I said, you don't have to use magnets. I have magnets. I like using them. I love the sound a magnet closure makes. It's just something I enjoy. These are easy to get. I normally get mine off Amazon. So they're easy enough to pick up. Oh, there it goes. It's attached to the box. But if you don't have them or don't want to use them, there are other closure methods that you can do. So it's not necessary. Again, I need to push this in quite far because I'm going to be stitching around that. I don't want the magnet to hit my needle, or my needle to hit the magnet whilst I'm stitching. I don't want that for many reasons. All right, let's get our scissors and crunch this up even more, because yeah, I think I almost want like a cut there. I think I kind of do. Now, again, another good way, I think I said this in a previous video, of getting things to rip or tear easier. I mean, you may have the sanding tool, or the, I can't remember what it's called now, but the little tool to do that with. But if you don't, and you want a bit of ripping and tearing, a great way to do it is to wet the paper a little bit, because then it rips and tears easier. But you just have to be super careful that you are more deliberate with your ripping and tearing in that case. I kind of want that. I don't want a complete corner tear like the other ones have, because I want to do something a bit different. So I want that there. I do really like that, having a bit of a torn edge. So I'm going to stitch that up. Now, before I stitch this, actually, what I have to think about is the hinge. On the other flips and flaps, I have used, let's tear this. I have used tea stain paper or card. On this, I'm going to use fabric, just because. Something a bit different, and it shows you a different way of doing it. So that's what I'm going to use. That almost looks burnt. It looks like a Polaroid that's been heated, which I love. Love that. I do sometimes do that with pictures. Even I think it was the Tim Holtz photo booth ones. If you are super careful, very careful, you can use your heat gun on them, and it just kind of melts them a little bit. And I've used it on old vintage pictures as well, but as I said, you have to be so careful. Have your heat gun on a low setting, keep it far away from the photo, and just watch what you're doing. But I like that kind of melted look sometimes. I haven't done that for ages, actually. Maybe I'll try that on one of these pieces. Okay, so that's all this. So this is going to go on the front, like so. And this is going to go, that was so grungy, I couldn't tell where it was to begin with. This is going to go here. And I have a little piece of fabric here that I've just torn to about there. There we go. And obviously that edge also now has to be frayed a little bit. I mean, it's very clean and white, this fabric, isn't it? But don't worry, that's where ink comes in. And also I quite like it. I quite like the contrast with this. Now I'm going to attach this onto the side of this photo. I'm going to stitch it. And then we're going to glue it onto here, onto this side. That's what we're going to do. So if you can hear that noise, suddenly there's something outside making lots of noise. So I'm going to go stitch around this and down just one edge here. And I'm going to go stitch around this piece. Okie do, guys. I did a zigzag stitch on this, but I tried to make it a bit of a wonky zigzag stitch, which I think works. And then I did mainly a straight stitch here. I've got a little bit of zigzagging. We got all these yummy, yes, yummy threads. Okay, so I think what I need to do is I need to, say it with me, ink this. That's what I need to do. Mainly this side right now, because we're going to be gluing this down soon. and I need to really make sure that it's inked. Also, I'm going to stencil on the inside because it's very white, which is not the vibe we are going for. Almost said, these are not the droids you are looking for. Ugh. I'm not even a big Star Wars fan. I know. I apologise if any of you out there are. But my boys love Star Wars. And ever since they were little, we have celebrated, let's do it with some black ink, Star Wars Day. Excuse me, reaching. And so it's kind of just a thing that I do with them, where we watch it and we, using the black soot, we watch the shows, we watch the movies, we do all that kind of thing together, and we celebrate Star Wars Day. There we go. Lovely. And it kind of mimics the lace effect on the actual coin envelope. Yeah. So now, even though I'm not the hugest Star Wars fan, I'm sorry, I'm a Trekkie, guys. Like, that's just my thing. It gets stuck in your head, doesn't it, Star Wars? So we're going to stick this on here first. Now, look, we could make this even more complicated because we could turn this into something with a tag at the top. And I'm wondering if I want... No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. I wanted to do something simple with just 2 of the flaps. Sometimes I overthink. Well, not overthink. I just always see where I can add more tucks, more pockets, more writing space. And I just want to. It's a problem. Okay, I'm going to glue just the back of there. And now I really need to add this. I don't want it all the way to the top. Okay, I'm not sure if that's very straight. I think it is. I press that down. You can see already it flips up and flips down. Look at all that writing space, guys. And if I put a tag behind it, you would have had more writing space. But I said no. Not on this one, Belle. Because when that closes, you'll have it like this. Okay. Now this lovely scrummy house is going to go on top. Like so. But before I do that, I need to add the magnet inside. So. Where is it? That's it. Actually, we could actually glue this on now because it wouldn't matter. Let's glue this on. And then it's in position. I was thinking I could have added black lace to that too. Honestly, my brain goes tick, 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 tick. How to grunge it up even more, Belle. Add some black lace. Okay, so that's going to go like that. So I've just glued that to that flap there. And then that's going to close. Oh, I love it. And then we're going to get this. No. It helps if I actually have the bit with the magnet on there. So let's turn this over. Add a tad of glue. Please tell me it didn't jump. There we go. Perfect. The magnets want to be together. So, reminds me of that advert. Want to be together. So as long as you put them near each other, they're going to be fine. And again, I'm just going to grab some washi and cover that up, because if you put things in and out of this pocket, you don't want it catching. Where's the glue stick? So it really doesn't matter what washi. In fact, if you've got washis you really hate, these are perfect projects for those washis. Say they came in a pack, or yeah, normally in a pack, or maybe you were sent some little scraps from Happy Mail or something, some samples, and there might be some in that sample that you don't normally make. Like, I'm not going to use this washi tape very much. This is a perfect way of using those up. Now, this is all going to stick onto here. So let's do it. Stick this. And I'm really going to have to glue this well. I mean, if you've got something like Fabri-Tac or a fabric glue, that's going to work best for this because obviously it's glue sticking onto fabric. And you may be like, why is that fabric on the inside? It would look great on the outside too. You're right, it would if I was just putting paper on the back. But I'm going to be putting a pocket on the back. So, oh, look at that, guys. I mean, is that not delicious? And then this opens and we've got writing space here. Let's move that just a tiny bit. We've got writing space there, and then we've got writing space here. Delicious. Yum. Okay, so now on the back, I want to add, look at this image. This is from the Digital Ephemera kit. I love this image. Really, really love this image. I just think it's deliciously beautiful and Gothic and forlorn and oh, look at it, guys. And I want this to go on as a pocket on the back. So we're going to do that. Going to add a pocket. Again, I could just add some extra paper on the back here and make it even more space for writing. But we did that on the other one. So I wanted to try something a bit different. So we're going to add that. Now, whilst we're at it, I am going to use one of them. Now, I used a real wax seal on the other coin envelope, but there are wax seals that come in the kit. So I'm going to use one of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some embossing powder on it. Clear embossing powder. Just going to really stick that down. This is my Versamark ink pad. I'm going to use some clear embossing powder. Where's my little stamp piece? There we go. And I am going to make this shiny so it looks more like a real wax seal. Let's move that. I need that when I'm using my heat gun, but not right now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss it 2 times. So I'm going to heat this up and melt this, and then I'm going to put another lot of embossing powder on. So I'm going to go do that because my heat gun is very, very noisy. And I really need one of those heat tools rather than the heat gun. And I will be back. Okay, guys, so this is what it looks like. You can see it's all shiny, which is yummy. And it really doesn't take embossing powder long to dry at all, which is brilliant. I mean, you could use glossy accents if you have them. If you had a shiny or a glossy finish varnish, you could use that on them too. I know a lot of us know these things, but I always try and think of, well, what if someone hasn't got some of this, or what if someone's new? That's what I always like to try and think about. So anyway, here we go. So that's going to be our closure on there. But I don't just want it plain and boring like that. So I was thinking I might want to add like some threads hanging from it or something. Because it just adds to the grunginess of it. Or even some black sari silk. I mean, that's quite nice, but if I have the better one here, this might work better because this it's like cheesecloth and it's flatter than if I'm using lots and lots of threads. So it's easier to kind of glue on to our piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue half of it, put glue on the bottom half of this. And then I'm just going to throw my cheesecloth on there. Just put it on because I'm going to rip and tear it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And now I need to position this. And again, I'm going to glue the bottom half. Really get that cheesecloth glued. So that when this closes, you put it a bit further down than where your glue is. And I need to hold that on there. Where's my cloth? Because glue's seeping out. But this is another way of using, if you don't have wax seal, you could use a die cut. There's lots of different ways you can add something, but I wanted to show you how you can do it like that. So that will pop out. I'm going to let that dry. And then we're going to tear this. Just make it lovely and grungy. Like so. Yep. Right. That needs to stay like that. So whilst that's doing what it's doing, the other thing I want to do is I have a word. And again, this is from a Release the Crafting kit. I've got the word darkling. And I thought that worked brilliantly for that little image. That little spooky, you know, just in case we've forgotten, there is a spooky child ghost thing in this house. I think instead of the word darling, I think darkling really goes well. And I'm going to put that on the front. Yeah, I really think that works well. And I'm just going to use the black soot on there. But I'm going to do what I've done in a lot of the other ones, and I'm going to back it with a little bit of this very fine mesh that reminds me of the veils that Victorians wore to funerals. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to back it with some of that because how delicious. And then I might put some of these strings on that. Unless I want to pull in a bit more of this stuff. Maybe I'll pull in a little bit more of that. I thought I had another little bit somewhere, but there we go, it's fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around all of this Loch Ness. All of this net and what's it called? Cheesecloth. And then we're going to stick that on the top, but I'm going to stitch around it first. Okay, there we have it. Doesn't that look lovely? Well, doesn't that look grungy? Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And as a finishing touch, I think I'm going to add some texture paste. Does it need it? Possibly not. Do I want to use it? Definitely yes. So let's put that on there. Oh, just look at the front of that. I love it. And I love the idea that it says darkling instead of darling with the little one. Okay, so we've got some texture paste. And I'm thinking I'm going to use the black texture paste. And I'm going to use Tim Holtz. Now, I have two ideas of which one I want to use. I was just thinking of the crosses because we haven't used those yet. And that might look quite nice. I also have the flowers, which will also be beautiful. But you know what? Now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I might want the crosses. I don't know. Do we want some flowers? The flowers do pick up the flowers. Do you know what? Let's use these flowers. The flowers pick up the sort of flower net on the background, which I kind of love. So I don't want perfect. I'm not going into every corner. I just want a rough kind of, and also this has an edge to it and I don't want it to look like there's been an edge on here. I want it to just look like a weird imprint like this. So we don't get this straight edge effect. Oh, just look at that, guys. Doesn't that just add? It does. It just adds. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to actually open this like this because I also wanted to use some texture paste on here. And I'm wondering let's just use the flowers again because I like them to tie in, you know. I can't help it. I like things to be coordinated and cohesive, even if they are grungy. So we've got the roses there too. Oh, do you know what? I just love it. I really do. And I'm thinking of putting just a little bit up here, which means holding this up. Or I could always do it this way. Let's do it this way. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? Let's just do a little bit here. Because we'll see parts of this under and above the flap on top. Oh, love that. Absolutely love it. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Let's close this back up. I mean, I have to be careful because this is going to be wet still. But, oh, smudged a bit on the back. That's okay. But it's going to show up. Okay. And we've got some texture paste in there. That just adds to the grunge. Perfect. Okay. So this needs to dry a little bit. And then we'll do the finishing touches. Okay. So I used my heat tool to dry that off. So it is dry to the touch now. Like I said, we've got a little bit of texture paste in here, but that's okay because it kind of adds to the grunge. And I was going to use a stencil in here anyway, or even a stamped image, just a little bit in spots because, you know, I like the finished look of that. Okay, now what I want to do, firstly, let's just add some tags to the back. So I took these are from the story in the kit. Now I'm not following the story exactly, but what I loved about these is one said, in the early spring of 1863, work began on the building of what was later to become Craftley Hall. So I felt like this could be the building that, not Craftley Hall, but I just like the fact that it said work started on the building. And then considerable renovations were required, particularly in one part of the house. And I'm thinking that the renovations are really in that part. And they always say that if you start work, sometimes that brings spirit activity to the fore. So I've also topped these tags and I've backed and inked them already. I did that off camera so that we would be ready. They would be ready to do on here because I know my videos are quite long, guys. Oh, just look how that looks. Now, the other thing I want to do, I could pick out a little bit of gold, use my gold, but I'm going to have a go at using this wax metal paste, but metallic, and I'm not sure what this colour is. It just says metal, but it's a green one. You can see that. And I'm going to attempt just a very, very small amount on my finger, because if I don't like this, I'm going over it in gold. And I just want to pick out, oh, yes. I just want to pick out some of that embossing, just ever so lightly, touching that, rubbing gently, because I don't want it going on the background. Look at that, guys. Do you see how that shimmers? And it just highlights that embossing, which looks beautiful, just black. But I like the fact that this picks it up. Oh, how beautiful that is. And let's lift that over and let's do the back. I love waxing wax paste and things. I just love the way they can just give that added something, an added dimension, because in some areas you can really build the colour up and then in other areas you can have it lighter. So I just love that. Oh, yes. And the reason I used the green, I did use a gold one, is that this new cheesecloth that I found, because I ran out of the purely grey one, has a slightly green tinge to it, and so does some of the images in the kit. Hold on. Sorry, I was getting my cloth. So I pulled out my metallic wax paste. You don't have to dab it like this. I'm doing it because it's going to, I want it to just not be as wet. Oh, guys, look. Just look at that. Just look at the effect that it adds to that. There is actually some green in this image, and that metallic just picks it up. Oh, I love it. So this is the finished piece, guys. It is a coin envelope. It's a flippy flappy coin envelope. Honestly, this I'm loving doing lots of things like this. So here we have it. So we've got darkling on the front. This is the building. It opens up. We've got this spooky image inside. That opens up. We can write here. We can write here. We can write all here. I could have added a pocket for a tag there. That closes with a magnet. We turn it over. We've got the back pocket. We've got some tags in there. I've used a faux wax seal. This obviously opens up. I'm not putting anything in it, but obviously you can do. And that is day 10, guys. Oh, I'm loving that. Should I add just a little bit of black to this? Just ever so gently. Not too much because I quite like the white, but it's almost too clean. There we go. Maybe a little bit of brown. Just a smidge. Okay, and that's today's one. I really love this one. And I'm going to have to use that gilding paste on other projects now. Not only because I like things to be coordinated, but because it's just so pretty. So that's today's piece, guys. Oh, I could add a bat. Sorry, I just realised I did this last time. I think I'm done. And then there's bats. Do I want to add a bat to this? Is it overkill? No, I don't think it is. I think there's just a little spot there. And yes, it needs a bat. Oh, I'm almost out of these little acetate ones by Tim Holtz. The tiny ones. I've got loads of the big ones left. Come back, bats. Stop flying away. You must fly over this creepy house with this little darkling child in it. There we go. Now it's definitely finished. So I hope you like this one. And it just goes to show you can put flips and flaps on most pieces of ephemera. Because as I said, we've done a tag now. We've done a pocket. And now we've done a coin envelope. So I'll be back soon with another video. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be back soon with another video. Did I already say that? And wherever you are in the world, I hope you are having lots and lots of crafty fun. Bye for now.